This series is increasingly popular, and in 2009 the Lotus on Track Racing Drivers Club will be organising the Lotus Cup Europe. They'll be racing at some of the most prestigious circuits, including Spa-Francorchamps, Zandvoort, Le Mans and many more. There'll be 3 classes racing, including the all-new 211, and Britain's Gavin Kirby has already announced that he'll be joining it.
The Lotus on Track series is now organising the Lotus Cup Europe, which will be next year, 6 rounds, 2 in the UK and 4 abroad. So my intention is to do all of those rounds. There's a class solely designated for the 211, so yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good year. Just going to have to get a little bit more time off work for all these vacations abroad, which I'll be taking next year.
You'll be a full-time racing driver at this point.
European Playboy, I think, is the actual term, isn't it? But no Playboy, just the racing we'll be after.
And is the competition going to be more fierce for you next year?
I couldn't honestly say. Obviously, we've only raced with the European guys a couple of weeks ago here at Silverstone GP, and they didn't seem to pose too much trouble, but then again, they didn't know the track, so we'll be going over onto their turf next year, so it might be a bit of a different story, but as always, we'll do our best and give it everything to get to the front,
The cars are heading out now on their formation lap, and of course the top 10 grid positions have been reversed, so Chris Randall has definitely got his work cut out. Here's the full grid.
Yeah, Chris Randall has a little bit more to do than last time. It is David Harvey in the 340R on pole. Martin Johnson alongside him from Marcus Jewell, Steve Williams, Doug Setters, Rob Bevis, Kirby Walsh, and Randall there on 10th. Phil Chatterton had a fairly strong race. Simon Deacon and Rush Treasure looking to go forward from there. Only very quiet race, didn't see much of him in race 1, but I'm sure there's more action to come from him. Matt Sutton, Hans Baumhart, a name that we know well. Chris Feller had a very dramatic race in race 1, and Tess Howe, we had some great onboard shots from her. Hopefully we'll see more of the same at the back. Mark Gooday and Damien Murray looking to make some progress from there. That massive grid once again looking anxiously at the lights. The reverse grid, the top 10 are reversed. Who's going to get the best of it, though? It's a long run all the way down to the famous Cops Corner on board with David Harvey. And what was that? Zooming past. That was a rocket ship driven by Andrew Walsh from 9th on the grid. Andrew Walsh is leading the race, Rob.
I was looking at Martin Johnson thinking he made a great start, and then Walsh came from absolutely nowhere as if he'd been fired out of a cannon from 9th to the lead at turn 1. Unbelievable stuff. Look, he's got a lead as well.
Well, absolutely stunning stuff, but already the other of the guys that were scrapping for the podium positions earlier on, Chris Randall and, of course, the other car of Sean Bicknell that was on the podium, they're fighting hard. It looks like Randall may have a bit of momentum on Bicknell, looking to maybe have a look down the inside at the Abbey hairpin. Going to be brave to do that. In fact, Bicknell very, very brave. Let's see if he can get the car turned in. David Harvey, though, locks the rears up. Kirby, it looks like, immediately behind him, didn't get involved with it in terms of any contact. A real shame. We saw some great action from David Harvey, and probably the best on-board camera we've seen all year, I reckon, Rob.
Doug Setters looking very closely around the outside of Harvey when he spun. Very lucky to miss him, but like you say, seen some great action from his on-board camera, and perhaps we'll see him fighting back up to the field. That's Marcus Jewell looking to make a move on Steve Williams at Brooklands. Has he made it? No, not quite.
Maybe a cut back there to the inside of Luffer can be done sometimes, but as we saw in the earlier race this weekend, a lot of overtaking can be done if you get the section right. That section of 3 corners, well, in fact 4 if you include bridge, then that's a really difficult section to get right. Now already it looks like the red car there of Sean Bicknell moving across to the right to try and defend into Brooklands before they sweep through this little chicane here. The island, of course, spelled I-R-E, not I-S, after the famous Innes Island. Of course, the man who won the first ever World Championship Grand Prix for Lotus back in 1961. So how about that for the anorak coming out there, Rob?
Well, only fitting for a Lotus Championship, but look at this battle for second. Oh no!
Yeah, it is Chris Randall. Very quick reactions. Look at how quickly. Well, that's why this guy's won so many races this year. Back on the case immediately, into gear, spinning the wheels and gone. A very angry recovery. Shows you how difficult that section is, Rob. The braking there is very bumpy. Very common to see people lock the rears on a downshift.
I was just about to say just that point. That as the bumps get the rear tyres unbalanced, and contact there into Abbey. Just what we were talking about. The cars lock their rear wheels, and they do run the risk of spinning as they slow the cars down and turn into the clipping point of that tight right-hand hairpin.
Yeah, well, Tom Chataway there getting into all kinds of trouble there and having a little bit of contact. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, you can see Andrew Walsh now under pressure. Our race leader hasn't lasted very long. We've got the 3 cars that have been the quickest this weekend in terms of lap times. We've got that, of course, the recovering Chris Randall, after his spin, has managed to get back onto terms with Sean Bicknell. In fact, it's got past and edged away, and I think Andrew Walsh is probably going to be anxiously looking in his mirrors, knowing that his biggest rival is there and all over him. Russ Treasure, meanwhile, around the outside of the 41 car of Stuart Kirkbride. Seen some fantastic racing this season from both of those guys, Rob.
We certainly have, and look at the sun setting on this autumn day here at Silverstone, and great racing between the top 3. There's really nothing to choose between Walsh, Bicknell and Randall today. Oh, look at that, they're all occupying the same piece of tarmac almost at Lovefield.
But of course, these are in the Class C, which is the highly modified version of the Lotus Elises, and they've all gone about modifying their cars in very different ways, different engine configurations, different kind of power outputs, and they've really come up with a fantastically diverse and very interesting type of car for us as spectators to enjoy and to watch. Meanwhile, a car that certainly really grabbed everyone's attention is this 211. Gavin Kirby has been very competitive throughout the season. I'm sure we're going to see more of those cars involved in the Lotus Elise on-track series for 2009.
I think so, a little bit lighter, a little bit more technology involved in the 211. Look at this battle at the front of the field coming down into Abbey. They jink to the left, they jink to the right. That's the red car moving up on the outside, and he's made it, yes, up into 2nd position.
That was a great manoeuvre because, as you said earlier, Rob, we were talking about how difficult it is to get that done on the bumps. Meanwhile, David Harvey, our pole man, comes through. He's going to try and recover from that. All right, he gets done either side. Meanwhile, a contact and a spin there with the 49 car of Steve Wenzel. Great shame. I think that was basically classic case of 3 into 1 would never going to work, really. Everyone bouncing around over those bumps. The lights are on now. It's getting very late autumn afternoon here at Silverstone, and certainly the drivers are going to be pushing through the gloom to try to scrap hard for that outright win. Those 3 guys have just created such great action. Meanwhile, Mark Wilson and Peter Driver enjoying some fun as they come through the Island Complex, Rob.
Fun at the Island Complex too for our race leaders. They're right into the meat of the traffic now, and these much faster cars coming into the slower oh, and that's Walsh. He's gone in way too quick, and he's now in the gravel on the outside. Oh no.
Do you think that was the case there, Robert? If he could see the traffic, he was going to try and put that traffic between him and the other 2 guys he was scrapping for the lead. Meanwhile, Russ Treasure getting involved there with the 41 of Stuart Kirkbride, and well, you can always see that there was a good chance that was going to end in tears.
Yeah, Walsh definitely put off in traffic, as I think Kirkbride was as well, just on the exit there of Copse.
And meanwhile, our race leaders now, looks like Chris Randall is in a good position to try and capitalise on that mistake from Andrew Walsh, the 39 car of Simon Deacon there, getting the job done on Ken Savage, who had a spin very late on in the earlier race this weekend. Randall, meanwhile, sweep through Copse corner. He's been used to this position several times this season, getting himself ahead and driving away. But I've got to say, a great drive so far by Sean Bicknell. Really hasn't given it up, has he?
No, he hasn't, riding on board with Chris Randall as he comes out of Beckett's into the Island S's. Here we'll be able to see the performance advantage from his car, but the engine doesn't sound healthy, does it? He's hardly pulling at all down the back straight. Oh, and look, he's going backwards.
A race leader now is the red car of Sean Bicknell. That's incredible. And now, meanwhile, Randall down the inside. They're very, very late on Gary Broad. I think Gary Broad, fair play to him, he did a great job of just keeping out of the way there.
He did. Randall's not given up, though. Oh, that's 39, Simon Deacon. He's well into the gravel at Priory.
Well, we've seen a lot of people have problems going into this section here. It's very, very easy to carry a bit too much speed in, maybe try and take the downshift a bit late, and that's caused that problem there. But Bicknell now, he has just sat there. He's driven a great race in terms of keeping himself out of trouble. The other 2 front runners in Class C, of course, Chris Randall and Andrew Walsh, have both had their dramas, but Bicknell has been absolutely superb. Not only has he been very quick, but he's made very, very few mistakes, as has this guy here, the 95 car of Gavin Kirby's been one of the most consistent drivers throughout the season, Rob.
Yeah, Bicknell's made a couple of demon overtaking manoeuvres, and ooh, what's that from Randall? I think that's game over. Yeah, he's pulling off onto the superbike chicane, and smoke from the back of Randall's car. So Bicknell's up the road, and Randall's retired.
And a run to the flag, it is Sean Bicknell who's going to take his first victory overall in the Lotus Elise Championship. You can see just how much that means to him. We heard him on the podium earlier on saying how much work had been done on this Audi turboed car. What a brilliant drive by him. He wins from Gavin Kirby and Rob Bevis. Setters, Walsh, Johnson, Williams, Jewell, Gooday and Edwards round out our top 10. It is though Sean Bicknell from Doug Setters and Andrew Walsh. Class B, Rob Bevis, Matt Sutton and Chris Feller. Class A, Steve Williams, Marcus Jewell and Michael Edwards. 211 class though, Gavin Kirby, Martin Johnson and Mark Gooday.
Marcus kept in tow a little bit, and then I caught the 211 up, struggled, can't get past them, make it on the corners, but can't live them down the straights. So yeah, much better race.
I was just been away on my honeymoon. I had my wedding the weekend after Silverstone GP, and then came back from honeymoon on Wednesday, had this to look forward to. Fantastic race. The car was brilliant, and I just enjoyed myself so much.
When I saw Walsh in the gravel being pushed out by the marshals, then that was all I needed to get my foot down and consolidate that second place. I didn't realise I got second, and then I come around the last lap and saw Randy out as well. So yeah, I knew I was somewhere on the podium, but when I saw Walsh and Randy out, then yeah, it was a foregone conclusion. I was somewhere up the top. So yeah, pretty good.
After the first race, I kind of thought the second one, I thought, I got a decent start, managed to keep Randy behind me this time. But and then like Walshy wasn't getting away. I thought I'm keeping with him. And then like Randy got past. Oh God, here we go. And then I got back past him, and that was like the best bit ever. And then we were both pressuring Walshy, and then all of a sudden there was a lot going on. There was a Class A car involved, and he kind of went off. And then Randy wasn't going away either. And then all of a sudden he just sort of pulled off. So I don't know. But I really think, oh my God, I'm in the lead here. Don't throw it off or anything. Kind of makes all the millions of pounds I've spent worthwhile, I suppose.
The sun's now setting over an eerily quiet Silverstone for the end of the day, but join us next time for the last round of the season from Brands Hatch.